Hello and welcome to another World Cup edition of the Dream Team Professor podcast, where we'll be looking at all the top point scorers and key talking points from yesterday's games, including Brazil, Switzerland and Portugal, Uruguay, and then we'll be previewing today's fixtures, including England versus Wales and Holland versus Qatar. We'll just look at all the potential top point scorers and players that we could be targeting, and then I'll just follow up with a quick team update with how my vlog team's getting on. So we'll start with Portugal versus Uruguay, which finished 2-0 to Portugal, and Bruno Fernandes got the star man in this game again, so that's his second star man of the tournament. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists in total, and it was 18 points in this game, and at 4.5 million he's been an absolute steal in this tournament. Could have had a hat-trick as well when late on in the game he hit the post. Ronaldo didn't get a rating though. He tried to claim that one of Bruno's goals were his. Bruno put the cross in and it ended up going directly in, but Ronaldo was quite close to getting head on it, I thought. But yeah, he celebrated like he'd scored it himself. Guerrero got an assist in the defence, so he got the clean sheet points and the 2 points for the assist. Didn't actually get a rating though there, so 6.7. But the keeper, Pepe as well, Cancelo, Mendes all got ratings, but Ruben Diaz actually didn't get a rating. He got 6.6, so he finished on 4 points as he got a yellow card, but quite high scores from all the defenders. But that was pretty much it. Not many other attackers got, or no other attackers got any points from Portugal, and quite a few bookings as well, so a couple minus points. And a bit disappointing if you started with Darwin Núñez or bought him in. He's not really delivered at all so far in this tournament, so quite disappointing there. We had Bentancur, got 2 points for Uruguay, but that's pretty much it in terms of returns from Uruguay. Then on to Brazil versus Switzerland, which finished 1-0 to Brazil, and Alex Sandro got the star man in this game with 13 points. He's got 21 points in total and is Brazil's highest point scorer so far in Dream Team. So at 4 mil, he's looking quite good value, to be honest. Thiago Silva's 5.5 and Marquinhos are 5.5. So the centre-backs at Brazil are really quite expensive. You did have Danilo was the right-back initially at the start of the tournament, but he went off injured. So Militao started at right-back in this game. But out of all the defenders, it looks like Sandro is probably the most nailed other than the centre-backs, but he's looking like the best value as well at 1.5 cheaper than the centre-backs. So someone to keep an eye on there. So they've got the clean sheet points all around. And I brought in Vinicius Jr. actually, and I thought he looked quite good. He was unlucky to not assist Richarlison. He put a really good cross in that he missed. And then he scored, celebrated the full works, and that was ruled out by VAR as well. I think it might have been Richarlison that was offside in the build-up. So that was quite disappointing. I thought I'd got the points there. And then he ended up finishing on a 6.5. So again, really quite disappointing. And I think he would be one of these players that would disappoint you if he was in a normal Sun Dream Team game, because unless he's sort of getting these attacking returns, it doesn't seem like they rate him that highly. But you had Casemiro, he got the only goal of the game. So he got an 8 rating, and he got 8 points and a 7.8 rating. It was actually only his 6th ever goal for Brazil, and he's played almost 70 games. So he's not a big goal scorer, as most of you know, but yeah, I don't know if he's someone I would consider yet at this point. Paqueta, I did mention this, I've sort of been mentioning it the whole way through, but he looks always like a nailed starter for Brazil, but I had highlighted that he'd sort of been subbed off in every appearance he'd made in the last 6 games leading up to the World Cup. And it's happened again, it happened in the previous game. He got subbed off at around 45 minutes in this game, so that's a bit of a worry. I've got him in my team. Yeah, it's just not enough time to really, unless he's going to get an attacking return, it doesn't really seem like that's enough time to get the 7 rating. And then Rodrigo, he got an assist in this game, so only 2 points, 6.7 rating, but not really much else from any of the attacking players. I did think that who was it? Rafinha, he didn't look very good in the last game, but I thought he looked really good in this game. He only managed to get a 6.7 rating, but I thought he looked quite dangerous. And I did bring Richarlison into a few of my teams, but he didn't do anything in this game either. Then on to Cameroon-Serbia, which was a really good game to watch. So 3-3. I don't think many people would have players from these teams, but Mitrovic is probably one of the most highly owned players that I've seen from either of these two teams. He got a goal in this game. He hit the post as well, so that's quite unlucky. Dusan Tadic, he got an assist for Serbia's first goal, and Milinkovic Savic, who's I always see you linked with quite a few Premier League clubs. He got a goal early on. But then Abubakar, he got a goal and an assist, and that was a really cheeky lob over the keeper. I think I saw the keeper was about 6'8" as well, something ridiculous, and he still managed to chip him. So that was a really good goal. Choupo-Moting, he's 2.5 million. He got a goal to make it 3-3. But all in all, it's going to be tough for either of these teams to really qualify, I think, from the group. So yeah, not anyone that I'm going to be targeting from these two teams. And then on to Korea versus Ghana. And again, I don't think there's going to be much ownership in these players on Dream Team. But you had Salisu from Southampton got the first goal. Williams got an assist. You had Ayew got an assist for a Kudu goal. And he managed to get 2 goals in this game. You had Cho that got 2 goals and he got the star man for Korea. 8.9 rating and 18 points. You had Jinsu got an assist and Lee got an assist. But that's Korea eliminated from the tournament now. And no points so far at all for Heung-min Son. So yeah, quite a disappointing tournament for him so far. On to match day previews. So we've got 4 games today, and the third group game for each group starts at the same time. So you've got Netherlands and Qatar and Ecuador and Senegal both kicking off at 3 o'clock, and that's just to keep it fair, so that neither team knows what result they need to get to qualify. So they both start at the same time. So you've got Holland and Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal all taking place at the same time, and Wales, England, Iran, USA kicking off at 7 p.m. So we'll start with that Netherlands game, and they still really need to get the win in this game to qualify top of the group. So I'm expecting them to go full strength. Here's the Who Scored preview, and I think it probably does look right, but I'm not entirely sure that De Ligt will start at that right centre back spot. He started the first game there, and then it came out on Twitter or in some sort of post-match interview that I read afterwards that he sort of complained that he wasn't as good playing in that right centre back role in the back 3. And then the next game he was dropped for Timber. So I don't know if anything happened there or he upset Van Gaal at all. But I think I'd be more inclined to say that Timber would start in that sort of right centre-back role in the back 5. But yeah, anyone from that defence look pretty solid. And 2 million for the keeper as well is a really good option as well if you haven't got him. Then you got De Jong in the midfield. So he's 3.5 million and he's had back-to-back Star Man awards now. Gets really high ratings from Who Scored, so he's a good option. And then Cody Gakpo as well, I think is probably the best option from this team. That Qatar defence haven't looked great, and he's got 2 in 2 now, and he's only 4 million, so I think he's probably the best option. Could see Memphis Depay come back, but I'm just not entirely sure if he starts. So you can have a look at the lineup, and if he's starting, I would back him. I think he takes penalties for them as well when he's on the pitch, so I think he is a good option, but I'm just not sure how match fit he is. He's come on as a sub in both games, I think. But yeah, Who Scored seem to think they'll be starting with Gakpo and Bergwijn again. And then Dumfries, I think he could be one of the best options from that sort of defensive line. He hasn't done very well with the ratings so far, and he hasn't got any attacking returns. But I think he's not going to have that much defending to do against Qatar, so he probably will have the licence to get forward in this game, so he could be really dangerous. But if you're looking for a budget option, probably the keeper at 2 million is probably the best bet. But in terms of getting assists or potentially goals, I think Dumfries will be good, but he is 4.5 million. One thing to say as well about bringing in Holland defenders at this point, or any Holland players really, is if they do win this group, there's a good chance you can just hold on to the players as well. So like if you wanted to put Nopper in goal at 2 million, if Netherlands win the group and say England win the group with USA coming second, I think I probably would fancy having like a Dutch defender facing USA as well. So you could potentially hold any players that you bring in from Holland. If they do go on to win the group, you could potentially hold them for 2 games. So that's something I'd start looking at when sort of picking players from this third group game, is are they going to win the group and what's their potential fixture going to look like going into the next one. Then on to the other game in this group, so you've got Ecuador versus Senegal, and I wouldn't really be looking to bring in any players from this game. I think it's going to be quite close. If you've got like a defender from either side already, maybe a Koulibaly or Estepinian, I'd probably look to keep them because I think it'd be quite tight. I think it could easily be sort of a 1-0 game or a 0-0. So you could potentially get your clean sheet points there, but I wouldn't want to pick a side, to be honest, or a point scorer in this game. Valencia from Ecuador, I'm pretty sure he's ruled out. He was stretchered off the last game. but obviously check the lineups. But really, the reason I wouldn't look to bring anyone in from this game is because you want to start looking at the sort of the round robin and the predictors at this point to try and find out who's going to play who in the next round. And whoever wins this game is likely going to finish second, and I think that means they'd end up playing against England if, fingers crossed, they win the group. But yeah, I wouldn't really want to bring anyone in from this game because they're going to go into a harder fixture for the following round, and you're just going to want to take them out. So then on to that England versus Wales game, and you'd like to think that England are going to be heavy favourites with Wales bottom of the group at the minute, but I just have a horrible feeling about it. They always just, the sort of home nations always seem to just try and turn it on against England, so I think it's going to be a tough game. But I'm going to say Maguire. I still think he's been one of our best players of the tournament so far, and at 4 million he's got 17 points, 1-star man and an assist so far. I know obviously a centre-back is not usually as appealing as a full-back, but he is really dangerous from set pieces, and we've seen that across sort of both games. And even his defending from the corners against the USA was brilliant, and I think that does weigh quite heavily on who scored. I would wait and see lineups because you've got Kyle Walker, apparently he's coming back, although I wouldn't really think that you'd chuck him into this game. I think he's going to get saved for the knockout stages now. We'll probably see Southgate go back to his back five when it starts to get tough. But I've seen a few people say that they think Foden might start at left wing. Who Scored have actually put in their predicted lineup here that they think he'll start at left wing. He's 5 million, but I still don't think he's going to start, to be honest. We'll wait and see. But I think that if we're going to rest, I do think either Saka or Sterling will get rested in this game. But I have a feeling he'll just put Grealish in. That's who he brought on in the USA game. And I think he'll probably just play Grealish in that front three potentially. Looks like Kane's due to start. He's 7.5 million, but still got no goals. So hopefully he can get off the mark so far. Because I've had him for every England game, and he hasn't been disappointing. Because he got 2 assists in the first game, but I would have expected him to score by now. But I still think England defence is the best option, really. I've got a few block teams with England defence, and I think I've probably got at least 2 England defenders in most of my teams. I'd say probably Maguire and Trippier, my 2 favourites to pick from here. Trippier is more expensive, 4.5 million, but we've seen throughout the Dream Team season they score so highly on Who Scored. And then Maguire, I just think he's just got that corner threat, and he's been defending well as well, so quite a good option there. And then something that's going to send probably most of England fans into meltdown is it looks like Henderson's due to start ahead of Bellingham. I don't think many people would have Bellingham, but if you have, that's someone you're probably going to want to take out for this game. And then if you do bring in England players, I do think that they're fairly good options because, like I said, potentially if we win the group, we should face Ecuador or Senegal, which would be good games to have defenders for again, or even attackers. But then just start to think about the quarterfinal as well. I know they always say don't get too ahead of yourself, but if you load up too much, it looks like we're going to probably play France in the quarterfinals, so I don't know how confident you'll be about that one. Then Iran versus USA. Again, I probably wouldn't tip any players from this game to bring in. Probably Pulisic looked the most dangerous against England. I think he hit the crossbar, and that Robinson at left back, he had a good game. He's only 2 million. Pulisic is 3 million. But again, I probably wouldn't look to bring any of these players into my team. So then on to my team update. So it was a big fat 0 points for yesterday. I think that might have been the first game that I got 0, or the game day that I got 0 points for, which was a bit disappointing. I had Paqueta and Vinicius Jr., who I mentioned went on to get no points. Vinicius had that goal disallowed by VAR, and Paqueta disappointingly went off at half time. So yeah, pretty crap game to be honest. But the transfers I made going into that, I actually bought Vinicius in. And I brought Nopper in as well, who's going to be playing Qatar today. So I'm pretty happy with bringing him in. And that was for Perisic and Simon from Spain in goal. So yeah, Vinicius and Nopper in for Perisic and Simon. Perisic, I was quite disappointed after the first game, but he actually went on to get 2 assists in the previous game. So I was happy with that. But he does play Belgium in the next fixture, which will probably be quite a tight game, even though Belgium haven't been very good. But I'm starting to plan towards the knockouts now. When I make any transfers, I'm trying to just have a look and see how the groups line up with the knockout rounds, and if these are going to be players that I'm going to be keeping for the long term, or whether it's just going to be a quick punt. But ideally now I'm going to start to plan towards having a half and half split of the team. I think that's going to be my strategy. So when you do a predictor, and again you can use, like, I think I used a Telegraph one, or there was one from Eurosport that was fairly good as well. So you can see what sides of the draw people will get. And for example, looking at the team now, so I've actually got a split of like 4 to 7. So on the one side I've got Trippier, Shaw, Maguire and Kane. That's on the England side of the draw. I think you've got France on that side as well, Belgium, Portugal. And then on the other side of the draw you've got, I've got Noppert and Ake from Holland. Paqueta, Vinicius, Asensio, Messi, Gakpo, they're all from the other side. So it's quite unbalanced. And the reason I want to try and get it half and half is just so that I don't have players that are playing against each other or could potentially knock each other out of the tournament, because that's just going to mean I'm going to have to use more transfers. So ideally I'd do the predictor and try and see who you think the favourites to progress will be, and then I'll try and eventually move towards having those, and that should hopefully see you through to the final if you've got enough transfers. This team's got 19 out of 30 transfers left, so fairly good. I hope to end the group stages with at least 15 transfers. I forgot to put the points on here as well. So this team's got 133 points in total. So it's not one of my best ones, but I'm trying to just be a bit more conservative with those transfers so I can move towards that sort of 50-50 split, like I said. The worrying thing is going to be with England though. So I've got quite a lot of England players, and like I said, we could potentially play France in the quarter-final. So if that happens, I'm going to have to, if England lose, for example, I'm going to have to burn like 4 transfers straight away to get those guys out. So that's something you want to consider. I don't actually think I'm going to make any changes to this team today, and I'm even contemplating maybe letting this sort of third group game play out actually, and have a few more transfers for this team. I know it's a bit boring to not make as many transfers on this vlog team, but actually I think it might help to set up the team going into the knockout. So if you look at the third games I've got for this team, I've got Noppert in goal, who plays Qatar. I've got 3 England defenders in Trippier, Shaw and Maguire. And obviously this Wales game should be a fairly good game for the England defence. Then you've got Ake that's playing Qatar as well. So I'm looking at that backline, and obviously it's wishful thinking, but I do think they're both 2 games that we could get clean sheets from. So if I can get clean sheets across the full backline, that's going to set me up really nicely. A bit more of a problem in the midfield because I've got Paqueta now that keeps getting rotated, and Vinicius Jr. They're playing Cameroon, but they've won their previous 2 games now, so I think they've pretty much got that group wrapped up. And then Asensio for Spain, he's got Japan, and it's still pretty close in that group, so he's still going to be a good option to have. Messi versus Poland, Cody Gakpo again against Qatar today, and then Harry Kane versus Wales. So I'm pretty happy with how this team's set up for the third fixture, and I'm a bit less keen to hop onto. I was hopping onto players that I thought might be, you know, like a premium striker to target games, but actually now I'm thinking about keeping some of these transfers back and really setting up this team nicely for the knockout stages. That is everything for today's video, so thank you for watching, and please do like and subscribe for more Sun Dream Team World Cup content. I'm going to be doing the regular updates on the fixtures and top players to target, but I'm also going to do a slightly longer video later in the week just to show my approach to going into these knockout stages and how to use the transfers going into that. So please do subscribe to the channel and look out for that video as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.